Well, good afternoon. I'm going to try not to trip over all the cables here. Format, I'd really like to take you through a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of a little bit of my life, a little bit of my experience, kind of a three-part play of where I've been and learning a brand new industry at nearly 64 years of age, and that kind of journey. And I put together a presentation, so I'm going to beg your indulgence to live through a little bit of self-promotion, a little bit of education, and a little bit of passion about football, and some of the challenges from a business perspective as to how we're going to continue to make this football club that I have the honor and privilege of being the chief executive as successful now as it has been over the decades that previous. So what we're going to do is take you through a little bit of my destination, because life is not necessarily where you end up, it's how you get there and the experiences you have. So, and I'm going to wander around a little bit. Want to start off with a little bit of a video that will talk about some of my, it's 4 minutes and it's 20 years of my life compressed in, because when I first was approached, that we want you to talk about video games, we want you to talk about your life in sports marketing, we want you to talk about what you're doing with Liverpool right now, and how moving back from the United States, where I've been for the last 38 years, how England has changed and how Liverpool has changed. So thinking, well, that's a 5-hour masterclass, that's not 40-odd minutes. So I've got a video here that's, indulge me again, this is the self-promotion bit. This is 20 years of working at SEGA, running the Xbox business, and then a fabulous last 10 years of being the chief operating officer at EA, starting off as the president of EA Sports and running little things called FIFA and Madden. And then managing, which was the most fascinating for me, the transformation of a major corporation from a physical and an analog and a manufacturing and making discs and cartridges to the digital behemoth that it is now. And I've had a lot of fun along the way. go, 20 years in 4 minutes and 9 seconds. Every time I watch that, it just reminds me of the ridiculous things you have to do to bring technology to life. My job, either president of SEGA, running the Xbox business, and then most recently EA, is bringing technology a human face and trying to explain what our games are about. Or in the case of both SEGA with the Dreamcast, you're all too young to remember the Dreamcast, but the Xbox 360 in particular, hopefully you're not too young to remember that, was bringing it to life in a human way, doing, some daft stuff up there. And then the other thing that always, I see so many memories in there, but all anybody wants to talk about is South Park. Right? And being a character on South Park seems to, from what I can figure out from the rest of the world, has been the highlight of my career, which feels a little sad. But there's video games. We're going to move on from that and talk about the good stuff. Naked picture of me, always a good way to start. But this is me in Liverpool, 1956-57. That's where it all began. The picture on the right, I used to ask my mom, that's great, why wasn't I wearing pants during that period? I know that's not my tricycle. It's the roots of all of us who grew up of a certain generation, certainly in this very, very special city that I now live in again after being away for 50 odd years. Great memories when I look at that as well. My mum and dad, my dad was a publican, flashing ahead. Grew up in a pub in Scotland Road. There's a Scouser here. Where's the girl from Huyton there? You know where Scotland Road is. And my mum, God bless her, a nurse at Alder Hey Hospital, one of the great children's hospitals here in the United Kingdom, if not in European. So classic Liverpudlian roots. And Liverpool, that's Liverpool. And around the period that I lived there in the late 50s and early 60s, tough city, tough times after World War II, a port city that had missed moving to the containerization in the industry, and a city that you all know and you all have what you think you know about Liverpool. And until you go there, those views and the kind of stereotypes that Brits have who live down here and maybe don't come north still have. Exacerbated 1981, the year I just left for America, race riots in Toxteth in Liverpool. Riots about austerity, riots about poverty, riots about what was known as managed decline, that government, Whitehall, London didn't care about Liverpool. And a famous letter from Sir Geoffrey Howe to Margaret Thatcher said, basically, let's let it rot. It's cheaper for it just to, and it was called managed decline. Let the city rot, and we'll move our money somewhere else where we think we got a better opportunity. In that case, during that period of time, it was Manchester. Let's build the airports, let's build the infrastructure. And so the city went through tough times. But you know what? I come back in 2017 to this magnificent city that sits on the River Mersey that was bailed out by the European Union. When I say bailed out, the European Union believed in the city of Liverpool. It became the capital of culture in 2008. Massive amounts of investment in capturing the unbelievable history of this magnificent city, capturing and bringing back to life its waterfront, investing in new convention centers and arenas, and really making Liverpool what it once was in the late 1800s, which was a powerhouse of industry and commercial. And it was the gateway from America to Europe in those periods of time. The world's biggest docks, the biggest cruise liners obviously will come through, and the Cunard line again that had most of the cruise ships that went on the transatlantic routes was based in Liverpool. And so we have this very unique city. The question now as we move to Liverpool, what sets this football club apart? And we were talking upstairs to a number of you about being able to distinguish our football club, my football club, I know it's the football club of several of you in this room, from all others, and breaking down a brand. I was asked a question upstairs about the brand that is Liverpool Football Club, and the little dig. Well, you haven't won anything in a long time. How do you maintain the brand equity? And in fact, as we now know, if any of you try to get a ticket to Anfield, how do you actually, as a football club, as an enterprise, as a brand, grow your brand at a time when the core currency of sports is winning and you haven't ever won the Premier League? It's been, let's say, if you discount the League Cup in 2012, it's been a long time since you've won anything. It was 2005 in Istanbul, since you've won a major trophy. But yet, you cannot buy a ticket to see Liverpool play. You cannot get to Anfield. which millions of people, and in fact I'm going to show you hundreds of millions of people want to do. And so when you're looking at this, you break the brand down. And I'm not going to go through this because I do promise to try and get through this in record time. But you look at the values of the brand, whether it is Anfield itself, whether it's Jurgen Klopp, whether it's You'll Never Walk Alone 3 minutes before kickoff. Is it the Shankly Gates? Is it Bill Shankly himself? Is it the city of Liverpool and everything and the history of the football club? And like any great brand, we break it down, and it's a little out of focus there a little bit, but you can see we characterize ourselves as the world's greatest football family. And it's a family that's built, like any family, on joy, happiness, success, failure, tragedy. When you think about what we've been through as a football club and what our supporters have been through as a football club. And all of the component parts all come together to make this very special football club in this very special city unique. And that becomes the key. And so what I'm about to show you now, when I get my clicking right here, is a video I think that encapsulates that. And this was it started off as a marketing video at the beginning of the season for us. But it was more than that. And it kind of tugs at the heart, not only of who we are, but also the place we hold in the city of Liverpool. And the place we hold for what you're about to find out is over 700 million people around the world who put their hand up and say, I follow Liverpool. And it allows us to distinguish ourselves from other football clubs. When other football club supporters watch this video, they think it's arrogant. And I love that. They think it's, we're a club as well. How can you say what you say? Well, I think we're different. I think you're unique because for us, this means more.
This is Anfield. These are our streets. These are our routines. This is our home. These are our Saturdays, our nights after school. These are our colors, our flags, our pubs, our gates, our mates, our crest, our words, which stand alone. This is the man who started it all, and this was his favorite place. This is the cop where we taught the rest how to sing. This is the pitch where we once watched the king. These are the stairs we walked up hand in hand, and these are the lights that light up the dark. These are the good times, and these are the bad times. This is what doubt looks like. This is how heartbreak feels. And this is how you fight back. This is refusing to know when you're down. This is support. This is community. This is solidarity. This is how you hold your head up high when the storm is all around you. This is how you fight for what you believe in when everyone else doubts you. This is the first time. This is the 100th time. These are the reasons to look forward to the end of the shift, to the end of the week, to the end of the storm. This is the team we'll always adore. For others it's sport, for us it's a way of life. They have a stadium, we have a home. They have songs, we have an anthem. They have a manager, we have a guardian. They have supporters, we are a family. We are Liverpool. This means more.
And it truly does. If you follow the club, if you follow in recent weeks, last night, there is the ups and downs that is so unique to football. And it's a roller coaster ride of emotions. I think overall, if you follow the club and you're too young to remember the glory days of the 70s and 80s, you look at your life, and I look back in my mid-60s, have had so many more good times with the football club than some of the challenges. And I talk here as if we're struggling for 5th place. We're top of the league. But again, the nature of what you see, because we didn't beat West Ham last night, is this knee-jerk reaction. It does mean more to people. And the element when you add social media into it is you would think this morning when you look at social media, and especially, of course, Twitter, that we were struggling to fight off relegation. No, we're top of the league. We've only lost once all season to the champions on their ground. And so, but this thing, it does mean more. And it means more to hundreds of millions of people around the globe. I'm not going to read these words, but this is some of the mantras by which we live. And you scan over them, but we have this thing called the Liverpool way. We do things differently. We do things differently in a business perspective. We do things differently as regards the way that we treat our fans, the way that we manage our players in their career. And then if any of you follow the Sky Sports or BT Sports or even beIN Sports and Al Jazeera and all the networks, there's a reason there's so many former Liverpool players that are there as pundits, because of the nature of the upbringing of being a Liverpool player and what is imbued in you as regards the values, the dignity, the respect. And it comes from Bill Shankly, who you saw in that video, but this sense of socialism, which is unique a little bit. Liverpool is a socialist city, no two ways about it. Working class city, seafaring port, deep socialist roots that are embedded in the city to this day. And Shankly played into that, a socialist himself, but this was the man that put the team, a struggling team in the second division, on his shoulders and built it to a European powerhouse that his successors then were able to continue. And to this day, you know, we ended up in the Champions League final last season. Didn't end the way we wanted it to, but it was a huge shock to the world that we were back in our 9th Champions League / European Cup final. So the conundrum, opportunity that somebody in my situation as the chief executive officer of one of the world's biggest sports brands, that is also the custodian of the hopes and dreams of hundreds of millions of people, but trades on the uniqueness of what you just saw. Anfield, L4, the postcode in which we exist. You'll never walk alone. People from Huyton, Bootle, Toxteth, the core elements of what makes Liverpool so special and so unique. It's a local heart. That ringing out of You'll Never Walk Alone, you can hear the Scouse accent. The songs that we sing, Allez, 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 they're all built by the musical elements that makes it so unique in this city. At the same time, though, we have this massive opportunity, which turns into a challenge at times, is we're a global brand. And I actually never try to use the word brand or even talk about Liverpool Football Club as a brand with our fans, because they don't see it that way, and rightly so. It's such an important part. It was, as it was with me, my dad's club, my granddad's club. It's not a brand. It's part of who you are. It's in your DNA. But when I look at it in the cold stark of what I need to do, it's a brand. So how do we maintain, from a business perspective, our local heart? How do we build upon that? Well, it's about understanding the city in which you live, the city in which you do business, and the fact that you trade on the shoulders of those people who show up and pay their 39 quid, and we have 500 tickets that are £9 each if you live in a L4, L5, L6 postcode. The local L postcodes, which means you're a resident of Liverpool. You get the ability to buy a £9 ticket, and we put 500 of those out for every single game. You know, FSG, Fenway Sports Group, my bosses, the people who own the football club, have a very clear focus on, they recognize of what they have in Liverpool Football Club, but also on the city itself. We built a new main stand, a massive new, tremendous addition to the specialness that is Anfield, but also allows us to drive revenue to, quite frankly, keep up with the Manchester Cities and the Paris Saint-Germains and the Barcelonas and the Bayern Munichs of this world. But also that leads, you can see, how many people have been to Anfield? How many people have been? Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. When you walk up there, you're walking through somebody's backyard, right? You're walking through somebody's back garden. You're walking past the local chippy and the discount booze shop and everything else that's up there. It's so quintessentially turn of the last century football. Why were football stadiums built downtown? Because the working class man had no access to transportation. And you built your stadium, and this stadium was built by Everton, actually. It wasn't this stadium, but Anfield was built by Everton, right in the middle of North Liverpool, so that the working class man and woman, very few of them during those period of times that would attend a football match, could get to the game. And still to this day, as you can see that photograph there, which is at the back of the new main stand there, these are the streets that we've done a lot of work to make sure that we have maintained the integrity of the neighborhood, whilst at the same time building this massive stadium that now currently exists. This is a picture to me, I'm always proud and in awe, because when I was a kid, it looked nothing like that. That green bit is Stanley Park. Now that's been there a long time. The stadium, you can see the new main stand. But what I always get a little bit of a thrill out of is the work that has gone on to make sure the neighborhood has been protected, has been invested in, that we take care of our local neighborhood. And I'm going to talk about our Red Neighbors organization a little bit. This is the local heart. What you see there, millions of people around the world want to experience. They want to come from all over the world. The interesting nuance I quickly figured out is, when you want to go watch a football match, I want to go watch Spurs. I want to go watch Arsenal. I want to go watch Chelsea. I'm going to watch Barcelona. I want to go to Anfield. It's different. It's different. People say that. They say, I want to go to Anfield. Now, yes, of course you're going to watch Liverpool. Now, no disrespect to Stamford Bridge. I really want to go to Stamford Bridge, right? And it's a great place. I like going to Stamford Bridge. But, you want to go to Anfield. And that's why. And, there's the uniqueness. It's the lightning in a bottle that a brand wishes it had and needs to not only recognize, but it needs to nurture and keep alive, even when you're not winning. Even when you draw away to West Ham and the world is falling apart today because you didn't get 2 points. And God forbid, Man City, we're going to rely on Everton to do us a favor tomorrow night. Man City might be top of the league for a few days. And so the angst and the emotion and the drama, it's lightning in the bottle. And so the investment we continue to do, I'm going to flash through these, go back here. This is what we're building right now in West Derby, which is part of northern Liverpool. We're one of the few clubs in England, bluntly, that has its academy and its first team have trained apart for 60, 70 years. And Melwood is going to come to a close. We're going to close it down at the end of next season, and we're massively investing in a brand new performance center and training center where finally the academy and the first team come together. So Jurgen doesn't have to call for a taxi to go look at an under 18 to train with the first team. When he's looking at young players, it all comes together. And you can see some renderings of I don't know what I'm doing wrong. There we go. Gymnasiums, just an idea of the investment. This is a £50 million capital investment in one of the poorer parts of Liverpool. And it creates jobs, and it creates a focal point, and it creates the ability for us, obviously from a functional perspective, to bring all of our teams together. But more than that, it's an investment in a local community, because on top of what we're doing to build this, we've also built, which will be operational this summer, 5 new community pitches and changing rooms to service the people of Knowlesy and Kirby, which is where this is located, some of the poorest postcodes in the United Kingdom, to give kids a chance to play football, to give kids a chance to have character building experiences out on the football pitch, to give kids a chance to have role models in the form of their dads or coaches who will be out there. And we've seen the power of football, and we're going to talk a little bit about that going forward here. So building that, here's Jurgen in the middle there in his grey sweatshirt, breaking ground, from the perspective of that investment. And that continues when we look at our philanthropic exercises. Again, it's a unique city. Having said that, it's still one of the poorest cities in certain areas in the United Kingdom, and in fact in some areas in Europe. There are postcodes, there are 11 postcodes in and around our stadium that are some of the most impoverished postcodes in the United Kingdom. And you have this irony, which I always feel as I approach Anfield on game day, and I'll do it this weekend when we play Bournemouth, and I've got the anticipation and the excitement of approaching the stadium and knowing we're going to watch some great football, and 54,000 people are going to be singing their hearts out. But as we walk through those streets or drive through those streets, we're driving through streets where people can't feed themselves. And one of the match-going experiences now I've tried to generate is everybody needs to bring food to the game. Go to Tesco's, go to Sainsbury's, do whatever, because we need to feed people. 7,000 people in and around that stadium cannot feed themselves. And so we're developing food banks, which we'll talk about, to actually help people feed themselves. So there's this irony of this magnificent jewel of a stadium, which costs us hundreds of millions of pounds, with many more hundreds of millions of pounds worth of talent running around on that stadium, and yet outside that stadium, in the streets that I showed you in that slide, people can't feed themselves. So we're not blind to it. We embrace the fact that it is our obligation to be able to do that. We have 2 arms to our philanthropic elements within the city of Liverpool. Our LFC Foundation, a classic football foundation that generates fundraising itself, as well as getting grants from around the United Kingdom. The Premier League, to their credit, also supports all of the football federations as well. And then this kind of tiger team we call Red Neighbours, a handful of people that focus very, very clearly, and I'll show you the work that they do, on the core elements and the challenges that we have in Liverpool: food poverty, social deprivation, the ability for us to be able to educate kids, to keep them away from the cusp of gang activity. And that becomes very, very important to who we are. So here's a little quick video that will give you an encapsulation of what we do. Giving back is critical. If you live in a city like Liverpool and you're generating the revenue that we do, you better give back. Not only is it the right thing to do, of course it is, but as a socialist city, they expect it of any organization that generates revenue on the back of their people. So here's some numbers. I'm going to blast through this because I just looked at my watch, but this is our foundation. You can see the numbers there, how many people we deal with, how much food we get done, the programs. The power of the badge is something we talk about a lot. Dealing with disenfranchised, in particular boys, is tough. Getting their attention, getting them to respect whoever's speaking in front of them, making sure that they have positive role models. The one thing that my team will tell me that works out of the Anfield Sports and Community Centre is that when you walk in there wearing a Liverpool Football Club tracksuit and you're wearing the liver bird on your chest, they pay attention. And you're using the power and the platform that is football to get inside the heads and the hearts and the minds of disenfranchised youths. And the same with the young girls as well, who are passionately involved. If you live in the city, you're either red or blue. There's no middle bits in Liverpool. You're red or you're blue. So the ability for us to be able to deliver against this is key. I talk about food and I talk about the food banks. Here's some of the numbers here. Again, one of the goals that we have as a football club, and I've made it a personal goal, is to make sure that when you're leaving for the football match, you grab a Tesco bag full of food. And there are vans around the food and around the stadium, and you drop it off because there are people in need. And that's a very important part for us now of the match-going experience, and more people do that. They wouldn't dream of leaving the house to come to Anfield without giving back in some way and understanding that they're part of a city that needs help in that respect. Walking football, we touched on that. It sounds ridiculous. It's the great equalizer. We've all played football, and our natural instinct is when the ball's knocked in front of you to run into play a ball into space, right? Walking football. We've got people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and one gentleman who's 91 years of age that comes out, Jim, comes out every Friday. Is it about football? Yeah. No. In reality, is it about getting out of the house? A lot of them are widowers. A lot of them have lost their friends. A lot of them have nobody to talk to. But on Thursday night, they pack their kit up. They put their shin guards in the bag. They're 80. They put their boots in there. And it's about being out there in the fresh air with your mates. And then I'm sure they go to the pub afterwards and have a great time. It is about curing social isolation. And that is an issue that maybe none of us think about because we've all got friends. We're at a university, for goodness sake. There are thousands of people here. But as you get older, particularly when you're having socioeconomic times, your family moves on, you're widowed or you're a widower, and it's a real issue in our city. And so what better way than this? Or my wife Debbie right here volunteering to do chair yoga. Again, sounds ridiculous, but more and more she'll tell you that the girls, that's what they're called, again in their 70s and 80s, and it is a social exercise, are now getting up and not having to use the chairs and becoming more flexible. They still don't stop talking, and they still don't stop nattering to each other about what's going on, but it brings people together. And if that's the platform that it takes, and that's the vehicle, yoga, that it takes, then so be it, because you're curing social isolation. We talk a lot about, you saw it in there, bringing people into the suites. Our partners are just desperate to try to give back. They recognize when you're part of Liverpool Football Club, there's an obligation. They all have executive suites, but they will, kids who have got, in some instances, tragic diseases, families that have no money and would love to give their kids a day out, and they're massive Reds, but they can't afford to even get a ticket. Our partners, like a Standard Chartered, a New Balance, or a Western Union, that you see on our shirts, will donate their executive suites to families in need. Food. Debbie there again on the left, my daughter, Alex with her. We will open up our hospitality lounges when school is out. Why is that important when school is out? Because many instances, the only time these kids get fed real meal is when they're in school. And when they're at home, the families don't have the money to feed them to the level we're at. So we will use our kitchen facilities. I don't know where Mighty Red's putting that pancake, but and give them an honest breakfast and give them a good day's worth of food on top of what they do in the food banks. And this is about a football club giving back. There's some of the numbers, and we're going to start sprinting through here, of what we do. And this is purely our Red Neighbours team. It's just a handful of people that focus on those key issues and focus on those key postcodes in and around the stadium itself. Also utilizing the stadium, and apologies if you're not a Take That fan, and having lived in America as long as I have no idea about Gary Barlow or Take That. I'm interested in Pink. I'm excited that Pink's coming to Anfield. And I'm certainly excited that John Bon Jovi's coming to Anfield. My bigger message is we have a stadium. It's a fixed asset. It gets used for football maybe 30 times a year. 335 other days of the year, it's empty. And when I say it's empty, it's used for conferences and what have you. And so then being able to then generate more income and employment back into the local area and regenerate North Liverpool, we finally got all of our stadium infrastructure built and a football pitch that will take concert stages. So starting this summer, Take That, Bon Jovi and Pink will be coming to Anfield. Generates more jobs, more income, utilizes the stadium, brings people to Liverpool. And that goes back to something I said 10, 15 minutes ago, break stereotypes. Because you'll come for a concert, and you certainly come for a football match, you'll come back again, because if it's the first time to Liverpool and football's why you went there and you wander downtown or into the city centre, you'll go, wow. And people laugh about that. No, it's Liverpool. It's a magnificent city. History, the architecture, the nightlife, everything that's there. And so football is the ignition point that is generating the amount of revenue we as a football club bring to the city and bring to the inhabitants of the city. And this is just one more line. But anyway, powered by Global Pulse. I am going to flick through, I'm going to flick through a video here because it takes too long, if it'll allow me to stop. Yeah. It's basically 95,000 people in Melbourne and Australia singing You Never Walk Alone. And if you YouTube the best You Never Walk Alone, it is 95,000 Australians for the most part who probably have never visited Liverpool, but their dad or their granddad came from there, and somehow they became Liverpool fans, singing the most passionate You'll Never Walk Alone. But I want to make sure I have time for questions here. Look at these numbers, and I alluded to this. These are the people that put their hand up and say, I follow Liverpool Football Club. Now that's anything from, when you look at the scores, it's the club you look at, to I get on a plane every weekend from Mauritius, which, believe it or not, hundreds of people do, from the official Liverpool Supporters Club, of which we have 305 now, from Mauritius, and go to every home game and every away game. And a bunch of people in the middle of that continuum that follow Liverpool Football Club. You can see how regionally spread we are around the globe. And this is the opportunity that I, as the Chief Executive Officer, has. You've seen what we do locally, and you felt the passion for the club. How do I harness the global element of who we are to keep up with all the other football clubs? Again, no disrespect to some of the clubs. They have no history. They don't have what we have. They don't have these. Not being disparaging, I'm stating a fact. Money can't buy history. Right? And I'm not picking on any particular club. Trust me. But from the perspective of what you have here, is you've got 50 years of grandfathers and fathers, and now the people themselves loving Liverpool Football Club. Why? Because of all of those ingredients I showed you on that opening slide, of You'll Never Walk Alone, of Anfield itself, of Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley, Dalglish, Rush, Robbie Fowler, Kevin Keegan, going too far back already for some of you, but legends that we have that bluntly no other football club has. And the success we have, 5 European Cups, 18 league championships. All of these things have this, they create this massive potpourri of just this magnificent experience that is Liverpool Football Club. Not just watching 90 minutes of play, but the stadium itself, the people that surround the club, the history of the club. And all this comes together, and all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, over decades, we have hundreds of millions of fans. So the challenge for me, I guess it's more of an opportunity, is how do I harness that? As an executive, you say, that's a lot of customers or potential customers but they can't get to my product. My product sits in the northwest of England. I can only get 54,000 of them through the turnstiles on any one game, but hundreds of millions of them are watching. Well, it becomes through technology. And I'm going to, again, blast through this, and I'm going to apologize for the speed, but you saw a slide there. We're looking at mobile applications. We're looking at web apps, network infrastructure, all of which is tied to making sure that we engage with our fans. And engagement will equal then the ability for us to be able to grow with them. They want to. I was Exhibit A. I lived in San Francisco. I would get up, I would put my shirt on at 4 a.m., and I would watch my team play. And in those days, it was Luis Suarez, just scoring goals for fun, as he did, and Raheem Sterling playing for Liverpool at that time, and Daniel Sturridge scoring goals. All at that time, I'm there watching these games at 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. and willing to invest in that team and come over and stay in Liverpool and spend money in Liverpool. So we're focused on, there's 3 slides I want to show you. Engaging fans who will drive growth, and then we turn that into investment in the team. And it's a very simple, virtuous cycle. If you're in business, some of you are MBAs, you understand the virtuous cycle. For us, again, a little different than maybe some football clubs, is that we like to be self-sustaining. We like to be able to drive revenue and then invest that revenue in a defender or a goalkeeper or a striker. And we go again. And that's a classic virtuous cycle that we have that is serving us well right now. The reason it's a virtuous cycle is the more better players you get, the more chance you have of winning, the more you win, the more that sponsors in particular are interested. Going back to the previous slide that I flashed through, the other thing that sponsors are interested in is understanding the fans, engaging with the fans. Data does that. I'm going to show you a quick video in a little bit of how you engage through content, how you have people think about you in a very different way, content becoming king nowadays, but how you underlay that with data that we can share with our partners and our sponsors, and that we as a football club can understand you better. I want to know what size you are. I want to know if Mohamed Salah or Sadio Mane or Bobby Firmino is your favorite player. I want to know where you live. I want to know what gender you are. I want to know whether you're likely to come to Liverpool and watch a game. I want to know how I can serve you better. I want one-on-one conversations with you as a fan, and I don't care where you live. The only way you can do that, build out network infrastructure, build out database management, build out CMS systems and CRM systems, and make sure that we can deal with you in a way that adds value to your experience, and in the same time, you can contribute to our growth, whether you're buying a first team shirt or flying to Liverpool, buying a ticket, going into the store, spending money in the restaurants, all of the things that create this virtuous cycle. I talked about this. They want to contribute, our partners, our Standard Charters, our New Balances, our Niveas, Vitality Health, AXA, our global insurance company. They recognize that when you are part of Liverpool, it's not just writing a check, and we appreciate them writing a check, but it's not just writing a check. It's about, well, how do we give back? How do we, and they all have philanthropic arms and built into their contracts of, yes, you're on the shirt Standard Chartered, but what are you doing to support us and our foundation in Liverpool? How are you giving back? Because you need to give back, and you need to be seen by the people who support Liverpool Football Club to give back. Otherwise, you're just a commercial commodity that will come and go, like Candy did, or Crown Paints did if you followed the club over the years, and most recently, of course, Carlsberg on the front of our shirts. And the one thing that, with great pride, is we just renewed Carlsberg. When this current deal is over, they will have been with us for 32 years. And that shows you, and that's indicative of a partner brand relationship that I think is unprecedented in football. I can't think of a club and a brand that's been together like that, but it also shows that we deliver year in, year, and they understand who we are. And then when you think about, again, if I can get it click, let's go back. The fans, they want a deep connection. It's no longer, for me anyway, when I look at our fan base and I think about my video game career, and I apply a lot of the lessons I've learned of talking to gamers and listening to gamers. And the mantra we had of gamer first has become fan first at Liverpool Football Clubs. They just don't want to watch you for 90 minutes a week and then forget about you. They want to learn and know 7 days a week what's going on, injuries, transfers, who's likely to be playing, what the opposing teams are up to. And we're all part of that. We're all part of that ecosystem thanks to a Sky Sports or a BT Sport. We as a football club play into that, and we give deeper connection. We want to reward them for their loyalty. We have our own TV station, our own TV channel on Sky, our own TV studios, both in our training facilities as well as our corporate offices in downtown Liverpool. We generate content 24 hours a day. And if you watch LFC TV, if you subscribe to the Sky channel, there's something on all the time. We have the great benefit of having the archives of great games and the Premier League making available the key games that we want to be able to show. But then we do in-studio interviews, talking about the game that's just happened, talking about the game that's coming up, bringing in management, bringing in the players, certainly bringing in our legends. And that deep connection has got to be key. So we talk about One LFC. And this is one techie slide I'll show you. This is key to everything we do on our single slide. I'm going to show you a piece of content now, and then I may just wrap up because I know we need to. Poor old Dan's been sat there forever dropping off to sleep there listening to me. Content is great, but if you can't back it up with data, it means nothing. You can watch all the YouTube's videos you like. If you're not being cookied by the advertiser, it's useless to them. You can watch Twitch streams all night long, but if you don't register, if you don't log in, if you don't give some data back, then that's useless to the people who are generating that content. We learned that lesson many, many years ago, and we're now finally, as a football club, putting the technology and the infrastructure and the applications and the, quite frankly, the understanding of who our customer is, our fan, into place. So you've got your data, you've got your content, your data, your tech is the back end. We're also hiring new people, and I lived through this Electronic Arts. You are all digital natives. You have grown up. You don't remember when the internet didn't exist. You didn't, like me, look at a fax machine and go, how do they do that, right? You've grown up being connected. Well, there are generations either that have grown up before then who struggle to be who they need to be in this brave new world, or there are people who are Luddites. And you know, bluntly, what we have at Liverpool Football Club is a forward-thinking organization that looks at the digital transformation of who we need to be. And those are the skill sets that we're hiring. Marketing, media, even our finance folks, people that come to the club, we need to be digitally savvy to understand our customers and know what it needs to be in their roles to serve them better. All of that comes together at what we call a One LFC mindset. I want to show you a video that is classic content that makes us different, but also engages our fans.
My name is Charles Gallagher. I was born on the 20th of the 5th, 1922. Well, I have the season ticket to go to every home game.
This is my son Andrew, and LFC is his life. From the age of about 6 or 7, he used to go with his dad to every home game.
Dad always used to pick me up, put me on his shoulders.
My name's Robbie Fowler. I've been going to match for about 12, 13 years now. Travel up from where I live in Stafford every home game.
My name is Max Dutton. I'm 7 years old and I support Liverpool. I started supporting them because of my dad. And I would have supported them anyway because they're the best.
I came out of the army in 1946. I started going to Liverpool at the beginning of the 1950s, well before the glory age.
Tell me why and what it means to you going to the game.
Enjoyment.
Yeah, it means everything to you, doesn't it? So?
Yeah.
The people that I've met through going to the game have become my closest friends. When you're in that ground, you can be yourself. You're surrounded by like-minded people. It's one of the best feelings in the world. I'm so lucky that I get to do it.
I like it when my dad takes me to the match, like, cause you get to see the actual play, not just like on the TV.
I've got someone here to see you, son.
All right.
I'm Jordan, nice to meet you.
You?
We've come to give you a special gift
Yeah.
for being pure Liverpool fan, a massive red. Wanted you to be the first to have the new home strip for next season.
Oh, thank you.
Charlie,
Yes.
how are you doing,
Oh,
sir?
St. John, how are you?
I've got a present for you, sir.
Oh, thanks very much.
Robbie. Hello. Hi. How are you, man? You right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Do you have any idea why I'm here?
I've got no idea at all why you're here.
You know, you're pure Liverpool and we want to do something special.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Open it. Just open it there and do something.
I can see you.
Hi, nice to meet you. I have this for you. It's a little gift. Everyone wants to say thank you to you for being an amazing fan. Do you like?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Boss.
Beautiful.
Looking well there, top jaw that.
Hey, look at that.
Do you like
Look
it?
how
Yeah.
good that
Yeah.
looks on you.
Here it is, sir. So that is yours.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's like the old shirt.
Oh man, nice one.
This is gonna be the new home kit for next season.
Oh man, that's gorgeous.
Graag gedaan, hè? Absolutely, Vince.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. You're welcome, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
It's content that's engaging, it's emotional, millions of people watch it. Now look, New Balance put it together to sell the shirt, but you know what, it's like, guess what, Liverpool's playing in red next season. I mean, it's not like it's something that is not happened for the last 100 years, but it's unique to Liverpool Football Club. And millions of people who may have or not bought the shirt itself, you could see the differentiation, the passion, the emotion of everything that is unique to us. I defy any other football club to put something together like that. You've got the guy, when Ian St. John, who played in the 60s, knocks on the door and the guy eventually recognizes him. You got little Max Dutton and you know his dad. This generational thing that we have in football is that if your dad's Liverpool, there's no way you're Everton. I mean, it just never ever happens, right? Without being, you know, kicked out the house. And so you have this uniqueness. And I'm going to flash through to one last slide because, you know, I thought I could get through this in 40 odd minutes. There's the lads. I'm going to read this in encapsulation. This is a manifesto that I wrote in most part and have my team chip in. It's a classic Silicon Valley thing. I flick through the vision and the mission and the manifesto, but where I have grown up in the last 20 years professionally, it's hard to get emotional about lines of code, about ones and zeros. And you need to wake up in the morning and have a statement of purpose that gets you out of bed, that gets you excited to come to work, to be able to stand for something, not just put in a 9-to-5 operation and wait then for your paycheck to arrive on the last Friday of the month. And we're very unique at Liverpool Football Club that we have something that is bigger than that. And so this is a manifesto, and I wrote most of this one night, tried to tie in all of the things that I've tried to get through in a rather rush fashion here this afternoon. And the type of thing we have as screensavers. And to me, it encapsulates everything that we do as a football club, but as employees of that football club. It's aimed at the employees. We are Liverpool. We hold our heads up high and have always stood through the wind and the rain. I can barely read it. We exist to achieve success and realize our fans' dreams. Without their belief, we would be nothing. As one team, we have a duty to build Liverpool to the pinnacle and set the standards for all to follow. We are caring neighbours in this unique city. We always give back while inspiring and nurturing those in need. Our pulse is global, our heart is local, and You'll Never Walk Alone is both our anthem and our rallying cry. And above all, we live by the values and the unique code we call the Liverpool way. That's our manifesto. That's what gets our asses out of bed every morning in the dreariness of the north of England. and gets us to work wherever we are around Merseyside or in the greater regions around the world where our staff are. And it's a unique honour for me to be at the helm of the football club. I wish I could have taken you through the other 20 slides I have in my presentation and all the videos, but hopefully what I've been able to provide you there is a little bit of snapshot of where we are today as a football club, the unique challenges and opportunities of running a global brand that's also a football club, the weight of responsibility that you have on your shoulders. It's not my job to put the balls in the back of the net or make the saves, but it's my job to make sure we have the right people who do and provide those resources to our manager and our sporting director. So with that, I'm going to sit down with Dan here for a few minutes, take some questions. We probably should move this podium out of the way. And I think we're going to move to the bar maybe.
So yeah, I think if we take a couple of questions, we'll leave that on me, and we'll take a couple of questions from the floor. So let's give a round of applause for the speech. So let's take a couple of questions straight off on the floor. Yeah, let's go to the hand in the corner. Yeah.
Do you think that enough is being done to tackle homophobia and racism in football?
It's a great question. Certainly as a football club for us, our values and when you go to Anfield, anything that is deemed homophobic or racist is immediately dealt with. Chants, any actions towards somebody of colour, anything that is antisocial in any way, not just homophobia and racist. There are other elements we find unsavory in the stadium when you've got 54,000 people from all over the world coming together. We take great pride in our ED&I. We have a director of equality, diversity and inclusion that focuses on all of that, not only in the stadium, but with the thousands of people we employ. I can't speak for football in general. I can only speak for Liverpool Football Club. And whilst it's always challenging when you've got emotions and passion and diverse people coming from all over the world that have different views on things, I think that we as a football club, and have been awarded through the Premier League, we as a football club certainly stand up to what our values are, what I just read here of the Liverpool way, and adhere to those wherever we are in the world.
Thanks. And then let's go to the hand 2 rows in front.
Hi Peter, thanks for talking to us. So I loved the This Means More video, stuff like that. I imagine like Mark Valenti had something to do with that. So I was up in Chapel Street last summer working with James Carroll, people like that,
Yeah.
with for the website and things, and I got to see how everything worked there. And I just wondered how important it is to you to fill those kind of positions with people who understand what you were talking about earlier, the kind of socialist core of both the club and the city.
Well, as I finished with my comments, we need digital natives. We need people to understand the future. We need one of the strategic priorities. We have 5 strategic priorities as a club that I've set. 21st Century LFC is one of those, and that means finding ways to reach out and embrace every fan around the world. The James Carrolls of this world, that works brilliantly in communications. Obviously, you see how we operate in Chapel Street, our TV studios, the social media teams. It's been one source of investment that the club has never regretted. We've probably got somewhere between about 120 and 150 people, full-time employees that work between comms and marketing and media and youth marketing. And that number will only grow. It's so important that you bring digital natives into this world. You know, I think we're fortunate that where we are, from a city perspective, right downtown, is attractive for younger people to come in. It's an easy place to get to, as you find out. Great, so, you know, sometimes that's not the case for young people who want to be able to travel to their work. And we have a great city centre location. I think that if you're a football club and not thinking along those terms, then you're destined to fail. And I wouldn't call them Luddites, but you know, my experience right now is there are football clubs that don't think in terms of digital transformation. We've got the biggest opportunity. I think we're the biggest football club in the world. Travel to America and you're in the big house in Ann Arbor, Michigan, there's 101,000 people there between ourselves and Manchester United, and I tell you we were the majority of them, to watch a friendly. And when you're there and you travel the world as I do and you see the passion, the frustration is they can't get to Anfield. They can't get a ticket. We can only go to so many places. TV has changed everything in football. but we've got to use technology, digital technology, to reach out, engage, and have them play the role that they play in the growth of the club. Find ways that they can play in this virtuous cycle. So yeah, I mean, marketing media, the bringing on board, the remixing of our employee base, making sure that everybody is a digital native is critical.
Let's take one or two more. Let's jump to the hand in the back.
What kind of things influenced your decision to change from working in tech companies like Sago and EA Sports to a club like Liverpool?
Circle of life. Being able to come back to the city in which I was born, to look after the team that my dad took me to Anfield in 1959 to watch us beat Leyton Orient 4-3. My dad's tombstone has "You'll never walk alone" on it, and I wish he was still here to see me doing this job. And being here at the Oxford Union is special to me as well. Not many Scousers get to come to the Oxford Union legally. And being able to give back. I've had a tremendous 20 years in Silicon Valley at companies like SEGA. And I wish I could do a whole new session on online gaming and SEGA and how that's changed, and the digital transformation and the business study of EA going from a manufacturing company that makes stuff to completely digital. But I've learned so many lessons about engagement, about treating the customer, the gamer or the fan, putting them at the top of the totem pole as regards your priorities, not the shareholder, but the customer himself or herself. And I thought long and hard, because I'd been gone from the UK 38, 39 years. Lived in San Francisco, sunshine, it's a great city, wonderful job at EA. Was taking on a new role in esports and competitive gaming. But when I got that call that you'll all get from an executive recruiter and said, would you be interested in talking about this? I thought long and hard. Debbie and I chatted. I told her Liverpool was by the beach, that the sun always shone. Well, it theoretically is. But I am so fortunate, and I just hope this happens to you in your careers, that at the end, I hope it's not the end of the it'll be the end of my career. I don't know what I could do that would be any better than this, that you can then come back and come home and give back and be part of this unbelievably passionate global brand that you grew up as a little boy. I can still remember, I can still smell Anfield in 1959. And for me to walk in the first day when I was CEO and everybody calling me Mr. Moore was unbelievable. And it's great to be able to do that and try to bring the club to the next level of where it needs to be. Like any organization, you can always do better, and to motivate the people and to be a leader and to be somebody that's a little different than the average football CEO. And sometimes that's a poison chalice, and sometimes that's a huge opportunity. And so it's with great pride I go to work every day.
Then let's take one final one. Yeah, if you want to come to the hand on the front row.
Well, thank you very much, Peter. As you know, I've done out read myself. Was watching the game last night in O'Neill's bar just down the road. Mm-hmm. Disappointing result, but what a season we're having.
Okay, Nicholas, we're top of the league. We didn't lose.
No, I mean it's great, and it's the philosophy of the football now, the style, and I think Jurgen Klopp being the manager really feels like we have that emotional connection as well. The videos you play. It's all there. The puzzle is being put together. My question, though, to you, and we talked a lot about the global nature of the fan base, the club, and really with the advent of almost the globalization of football, with players now going out and playing in China, there's talks of La Liga matches being played in the United States. Yep. Do you see those as opportunities to connect further with global fans around the world, or are there potential issues there of moving away from sort of really where the core fans ought to be, and sort of remembering that that Liverpool is as a city, the matches might be played there rather than far from places around the world. What do you think of all this?
It goes back to the subject matter of this presentation is a phrase I coined when I got to the club. And we have this massive local heart, huge local heart. At the same time, it's a global pulse. And those two sound like they would mesh together brilliantly. They don't at times. There is the locals, the lad from Bootle or Toxteth or Croxteth or Fazakerley can't get a ticket anymore. Not like my generation and probably the generation that followed me, there's no issue. You go up, you push £5 through the turnstile and you go find your seat, or in the old days, you'd stand on the cop. Football's, for better or worse, football's not like that anymore. The money's too big. We try to keep a cap. There is a cap on ticket prices. We've had a freeze for 3 years. The demand, again, considering we haven't won anything of real note since Istanbul, the demand is through the roof. And we're about to embark upon the last handful of home games. And one of the bigger challenges we're seeing right now, Wolves, as I'm sure you know, is our last home game on May the 12th, where the optimists around the world think that could be the game. Tickets are going for £6,000 in the secondary market. And locals can't afford £50 at times, which is why we do £9 tickets. Touting is a huge issue. It's a monstrous issue. Again, it's another Oxford Union address, is the supply and demand element of sports and the secondary market and the millions of pounds, bluntly, each weekend that are made off our tickets around the world. But grasping through technology the millions of people that follow this club, that love this club, that want to be part of that virtuous cycle is key. And the only way to do that is making very large investments, as we're doing right now. We're partnering with IBM, back-end network infrastructure, database management, web applications, mobile optimization, being able to reach out, developing content that is emotional, as I showed you there, that engages you and sucks you in, and make sure you're part of the journey. You're part of the world's greatest football family.
Thank you. What a place to end. So as we said, people will now move through the bar, and if you'd like to join him afterwards to continue the conversation. But for now, please join me in thanking Peter.
Thank you.